The Kansas City Chiefs find themselves in a familiar situation, but a unique circumstance. They are, of course, heading back to the Super Bowl yet again, but they are, for the second year in a row, gearing up to have a Super Bowl rematch against a team that they faced in the Super Bowl not too long ago. And while the questions were sort of easier last season about which team was at least more exciting facing the 49ers in the Super Bowl, they weren't any easier as far as which team was better, because the Chiefs' defense was markedly improved, but the offense was in a different place than the first time that the Chiefs did face the 49ers in that Super Bowl. But this year, with the Eagles, these are, I won't say largely the same roster, but largely the same core of players in Kansas City. So we have the strange opportunity to ask some questions that are fairly obvious questions, but I don't think the answers are all that obvious. In an article titled Super Bowl 2025 Early Overreactions, Eagles better than last time they faced the Chiefs, Kansas City worse, early overreactions heading into Super Bowl licks from CBS Sports by Jeff Kerr, we get the following. The Chiefs are a worse team than the one that took the field in Super Bowl Levy. Than the one that took the... Okay. Overreaction or reality? Overreaction. The Chiefs are going for a three-peat for a reason. They are still a talented roster with one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time in Patrick Mahomes and one of the greatest coaches ever in Andy Reid. Besides Mahomes and Reid, the Chiefs have continued to win because of the impact players general manager Brett Veach has drafted over the past 3 years. Cornerback Trent McDuffie and pass rusher George Karlaftis are franchise cornerstones on defense and keep getting better. Same with center Creed Humphrey and right guard Trey Smith. Wide receiver Xavier Worthy is a key piece on offense, and Rashee Rice was huge in winning the Super Bowl last year, currently on injured reserve. The Chiefs also have reliable veterans at pass catcher in DeAndre Hopkins and Juju Smith-Schuster. Of course, Travis Kelce is one of the best playoff performers ever. The Chiefs are still loaded. Don't let the weakness on the offensive line fool you. So, I pulled up some of the team stats from 2022 when the Chiefs faced the Eagles and 2024 where the Chiefs will face the Eagles. Both of these seasons, they will be facing the Eagles, of course, in the Super Bowl. Now, one thing that I thought was interesting and worth talking about was the strength of schedule. In 2022, the Chiefs had a negative 1.23 strength of schedule. And as I understand this metric on Pro Football Focus, I believe it was, the strength of schedule, the higher the number gets from 0, the better it is. So if it is a negative 1.23, that means it was below the standard strength of schedule in the league. The Kansas City Chiefs in 2022 had a negative 1.23. In 2024, they have a 0.71, meaning that their strength of schedule is 2 points, just about 2 points, higher than it was in 2022. Despite having a strength of schedule 2 points higher than it was in 2022, the Kansas City Chiefs won an additional game, going 14-2 in 2022, or 14-3 in 2022, and 15-2 this season. They were expected to win 11.4 games in 2022. They were expected to win 10.2 games in 2024. So not only are they performing better, but they are performing far ahead of where it was they were expected to be. So this is maybe not a definitive point for the 2024 Kansas City Chiefs over the 2022 version, but it makes the fact that the Kansas City Chiefs scored 111 fewer points more understandable. The Chiefs scored 496 points in that first run against the Eagles. They scored 385 this season. Now, they also gave up fewer points. In that first run, they gave up 369 points. This past season, they gave up 326. So that is a 42 or 43 point differential there. Now, the difference itself between 496 and 369 that we saw in 2022 is a much bigger margin than the 385 to 326 that we saw this season. That is one of the nitpicky things that we kept seeing the Kansas City Chiefs get torn apart for, that margin of victory. But when you have 15 victories in a single season, I find it difficult to nitpick on that thing. When you get into the playoffs, the divisional round versus the Jaguars was a 27-20 affair. The divisional round against the Texans this season was a 23-14 affair. I think that the 23-14 win was decidedly more convincing than was the divisional round game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. The AFC Conference Championship game this season, 32-29, a 3-point victory. The 2022 AFC Championship game against the Bengals, a 23-20 victory. Again, a 3-point victory. I will say that I think the Bills this year were a better overall team than the Bengals were in 2022. The Bengals, however, in my opinion, were a far scarier team because they were a team that could always jump up and bite you. They had immediate strike capability. I think to an extent that Josh Allen and the offense for the Bills this year does not. What about some other statistics? And I know this is going to be hard to really see here, so I apologize for that. The Kansas City Chiefs this season had 350 first downs. They had 408 in the 2022 season. It's a big difference. So you're looking at 3.5-ish first downs per game. That's kind of what it comes down to. But here's an interesting thing to take into account. The Kansas City Chiefs in 2022 started on average at the 28.9 yard line. This season, the 30.1. So basically the same thing, just a difference of basically a yard, because 28.9 is 29 yards. 30.1 is 30 yards. So both seasons, they basically started on the 30-yard line. The amount of time each drive took off the clock in average in 2022 was 2.53 seconds. This season was 3 minutes and 8 seconds. This is in correlation with 2022 having 6.29 plays per average drive, and this season having 6.67. The Kansas City Chiefs are hanging on to the ball more and for longer, despite having 58 fewer first downs. However, in 2022, they averaged 2.71 yards per possession, nearly a field goal. This season, they averaged 2.27 per possession. In my opinion, that is the big difference on the offensive side. In 2022, league rank offense, first in so many categories. This season, 15, 16, 4, 2, 12, 6. However, when you get to the defense, in 2022, that's where you saw the 16s and the 17s and the 19s. This season, 4, 9, 14, 20, 14, 19, much higher on average than it was in 2022. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure which team is better. I tend to think this year's team is more complete. I think the defense is better. I think that the offense has come around to being just as good as it was in 2022, maybe even a little bit more dangerous if you're looking at plays being made when they have to be made. But I want to ask you, which team do you think was the better team? Not the most complete, not the most explosive. Which team do you think was the better team? Should the Kansas City Chiefs 2022 iteration be meeting the Kansas City Chiefs 2024 iteration in the Super Bowl? Which of these teams would win? That's all I have for this video. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other Kansas City Chiefs fans. And if you find yourself here by chance but not design, the Chiefs are the only thing I talk about on this channel, dropping multiple videos every single week, and I hope to have you back for the next one.